Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Easy English Podcast. I am Mark. Today, I want to tell you a very special story. It is a story about a famous queen. This woman lived more than 2,000 years ago. She was very beautiful and very smart. She knew how to speak many different languages, but her life was often very difficult. Her history is full of love and big dangers. Can you imagine living in a palace by the sea? Can you imagine meeting the most powerful men? This queen did all of these things. Her name was Cleopatra. Cleopatra was born in the year 69 BC. She was born in the city of Alexandria. Alexandria was a beautiful city near the water. It had many tall buildings and huge libraries. Many scientists and artists lived there. Cleopatra's father was a king, but her family was not actually Egyptian. They were a Greek family. They came to Egypt many years before. They ruled Egypt for almost 300 years. Cleopatra had several brothers and sisters. In her family, brothers and sisters sometimes married. This was an old tradition for Egyptian kings, but this tradition created many big problems. Brothers fought against their own brothers. Sisters fought against their own sisters. Everyone wanted to have all the power. When Cleopatra was young, she studied hard. She loved learning new things every day. She learned to read in many languages. She spoke Greek and she also learned Egyptian. This was very special for her family. Most kings in her family never learnt it. They thought the local language was not important. But Cleopatra was a different person. She wanted to talk to her people. She wanted her people to love her. She also studied science and mathematics. She studied philosophy and played music. She read many books in the great library. She always asked many questions. She wanted to understand the whole world. People said she was the smartest person. Maybe she was the smartest in Egypt. No, being smart was not enough. Egypt had many big problems then. The country was not very strong anymore. Rome was growing more powerful every day. Rome was a city far away in Italy, but Roman armies were everywhere now. They controlled many different countries. Everyone was afraid of the Roman power. Egypt was rich, but it was weak. Cleopatra's father knew this very well. He tried to be friends with Rome. He gave them a lot of money. He gave them many expensive gifts. But the Romans did not respect him. They laughed at the Egyptian king. When Cleopatra was 18, her father died. This happened in the year 51 BC. Now Cleopatra was the new queen. But there was a big problem. She had to share the throne. Her brother's name was Ptolemy the 13th. He was only 10 years old then. This was the old tradition of Egypt. A queen and a king ruled together. No, Cleopatra did not want to share. She was a very strong woman. Her brother was only a small child. At first, everything seemed very good. They ruled the country together, but Cleopatra had the real power. She made all the important decisions. She talked to all foreign visitors. She controlled all the country's money. Her brother's advisors did not like this. They wanted the boy to be king. They wanted to control the young boy. They did not want a strong queen. These advisors worked against Cleopatra. They told people she was dangerous. They said she wanted too much power. They said she did not respect tradition. Slowly, they turned people against her. After 3 years, she had to leave. She had to run away from Egypt. She went to a place called Syria. She was only 21 years old then. She lost her whole kingdom so fast. But Cleopatra did not give up easily. She was in Syria, but she worked. She did not sit and cry there. Instead, she started to make a plan. She needed a very strong army. She needed money, and she needed help. She talked to many local leaders there. She made many important promises to them. Soon she collected many new soldiers. She was going to fight for her throne. She was going to return home soon. While she was in Syria, things changed. A Roman general came to Egypt then. His name was Julius Caesar. Caesar was a very powerful man. He was chasing his big enemy. His enemy's name was Pompey. Pompey ran to Egypt for safety. He thought the Egyptians would help him, but he was very wrong about that. When Pompey arrived, they killed him. They thought this would please Caesar. They thought Caesar would be their friend. Caesar arrived in Egypt a bit later, but he was not happy at all. He did not like that killing. It was not an honorable act. Now Caesar was in Alexandria. He stayed in the royal palace there, and this is where it gets interesting. Cleopatra heard that Caesar was in Egypt. She knew this was her big chance. She had to meet this Roman general. She had to talk to him directly. If Caesar helped her, she would rule. She could become the queen again. But there was one big problem. Her brother's men controlled the city. If she entered, they would kill her. She could not just walk inside. She needed a very clever plan, and Cleopatra was a very smart woman. One night, a small boat arrived. A man got out of that boat. He was carrying a very large carpet. The man said it was a gift. The guards let him enter the palace. The man walked into Caesar's room. He put the carpet on the floor. Then he unrolled the big carpet. Suddenly, Cleopatra came out of it. She was hiding inside the whole time. This is how she met Julius Caesar. Caesar was very surprised by her. He was also very impressed by her. This woman was very brave and smart. She risked her life to see him. Cleopatra talked to Caesar in Latin. She talked very beautifully and clearly. She was charming and very intelligent. She told him about Egypt's problems. She said her brother's advisors were bad. She said she should be the queen. Caesar listened to her very carefully. He was 52 years old then. Cleopatra was only 21 years old, but they became very close quickly. Some people say they fell in love. Others say she just used him. Maybe both things were true then. Caesar decided to help the young queen. He said she should rule again. He said her brother must share power, but the brother's advisors said no. They started a new war immediately. They attacked the palace very hard. Caesar and Cleopatra were trapped inside. They had only a few soldiers there. The Egyptian army was outside. They tried to burn the Roman ships. The fire spread to the city buildings. Some say the great library burned then. Many famous books were lost forever. The war lasted for many months. It was a very dangerous time. Finally, more Roman soldiers arrived. They defeated the Egyptian army. The young king tried to escape, but his boat sank in the river. The young king died in the water. Now Cleopatra was the queen again. She was finally safe in Egypt. Caesar had saved her from danger. Cleopatra and Caesar spent time together. They traveled on the Nile River. They looked at the huge pyramids. They talked about history and science. Soon Cleopatra had a baby boy. She named her son Caesarion. This name means Little Caesar. She said Caesar was the father. Later, she traveled to the city of Rome. She wanted the Romans to see her. She wanted them to respect her. She stayed in a large villa. Some Romans were very angry then. They did not like foreign queens. They did not like Caesar's power. Then something very terrible happened. In 44 BC, Julius Caesar was killed. A group of senators murdered him. They stabbed him many times. They said he wanted to be king. In Rome, they wanted a republic. Caesar's death changed the whole world. Cleopatra was in Rome during this. She was very afraid for her life. She took her son and left quickly. She went back to Egypt immediately. She did not know the future. After Caesar died, Rome had wars. Different men wanted to rule Rome. One of these men was Mark Antony. He was a very brave general. He was also a friend of Caesar. Mark Antony and Octavian won the war. They divided the Roman world together. Octavian controlled the west side. Mark Antony controlled the east side. Antony needed money for his army. Egypt was a very rich country. So he asked to meet Cleopatra. They met in the city of Tarsus. Cleopatra arrived in a beautiful ship. The ship had very purple sails. It also had many silver oars. Cleopatra wore very expensive clothes. She looked like a real goddess. Mark Antony was very amazed by her. They became very close quickly. They fell in love with each other, or maybe they just needed help. Antony needed the money of Egypt. Cleopatra needed the protection of Rome. They had many big parties together. Cleopatra had 3 children with him, but this made Octavian very angry. Octavian was far away in Rome. He did not like Antony anymore. He told people Antony forgot Rome. He said Cleopatra was very dangerous. He said she wanted to rule Rome. Slowly, Octavian turned Romans against them. In 31 BC, there was a battle. It happened at sea near Actium. They fought for many long hours, but Antony and Cleopatra were losing. Suddenly, Cleopatra's ships sailed away. Mark Antony followed her quickly. His army was left all alone. Many of his men felt betrayed. They surrendered to the powerful Octavian. Antony and Cleopatra returned to Egypt. 1 year later, Octavian arrived there. Mark Antony lost his last battle. He heard a rumor about Cleopatra. He thought she was already dead. He was so sad he killed himself. But the rumor was not true. Cleopatra was actually still alive. Antony died in her arms later. Now Cleopatra was all alone. Octavian captured her in the palace. On August 12th, 30 BC, she died. She was only 39 years old. She chose her own death then. She did not let Octavian win. She was the last pharaoh. Thank you for listening to us. Please subscribe to the Easy English podcast. Keep learning and enjoy your journey.